I'm just finishing off this windscreen pillar. Put a new section in here. Put this support in here, just welded that in. The next thing to go in, of course, is the final closing panel, which is what I call the end of the hockey stick. So I've just got to fit that in. A little bit of alteration to do to this, a bit more bending to get the shape right. It's almost there, but anyway, so I've got to plug weld this in and then this will be completed. Right, the reconstruction is now complete. I've welded in the hockey stick and tied everything together. So this is the new, complete new section, all of this. It's worked out quite well. Very pleased. So all of that's been renewed and right down into the top end of that, all this in there. So that's quite solid. I can now move on to the next part of the car. Well, actually I'll remove that support, that's not needed now. I was debating whether I'd start on the sill, but I might actually work on the pedal box, top of the pedal box. There's some rust in the in parts of that, so I might address that. And of course this piece is off there, so I need this to be solid so I can actually put in the front bulkhead. So I might do this next, just repair this, the front end there. There's a bit of rust I've got to cut out in there too, so I'll do that so I can actually then fit this panel in here. I've put a vinegar wrap on the top of the pedal box just to clean up the metal so I can work out the bits that I've actually have to replace. So that'll take usually about 6 days. So I've started to take the side panel off. Just remove the lead. Very rough weld along there, and they never seem to bother about cleaning anything up properly. I suppose if you can't see it, it doesn't matter. But anyway, hopefully I can do a better job than that when I put it back. The problem I've just found in, just started to drill out the spots. What they've done, let's see if I can get this in. Right, on the back, the A pillar, it's not wide enough, and there you can see that. But that's where the A pillar stops, and there's probably almost 1/4 inch where there's no coverage between the A pillar and the side panel. So when they tried to spot it on, it barely took. So the spot on the other side there is really just on the edge of the flange. So what they did to compensate was to braze it. And this is all brazing all the way down. The bit of a damn nuisance, especially when you're trying to get it off. So I'll now have to try and break that seam, that brazing seam. What I'm going to do when I put it back, I'm not sure whether I actually widen this flange would be sensible. So I'll have to think about that. But it's certainly in the centre, it's back by 1/4 inch. And it's barely enough to attach the side panel. So something went wrong. Either this was made too short or it's slightly in the wrong position, who'd know. So there's just another fault with the factory. I had to grind the other panel away to get it off, but you can see there how much the fit is out, particularly in the middle, and that's why they brazed it. So I mean, it was solid enough, but I certainly had difficulty getting it off, but it's just out of shape. It's in the middle, it's just too short, so it barely actually meets up with the flange on the bulkhead panel. Anyway, what I'll do, not just yet, but I'll add metal to that so it lines up with the bulkhead, and then I'll be able to plug weld it rather than braze it. So that's the problem. And you can see that it just bends inwards. It's the way the panel was made rather than anything else. Obviously when it's stamped out, when the shape was stamped out, it's just moved in a bit, but just needs straightening up. But I'll do that not just yet, but when I've got the sill off, so because it's rusted off a bit on the bottom as well, so I need to repair that. I've been playing around with the right hand door frame for a while. Managed to do all the repairs. Got a repair section along the bottom. A few little small brazes are required. A couple of small holes that really didn't require a patch panel, so that's been done. But what I've spent most of the time on is putting drainage in. Now the drainage in these, obviously if any water comes down inside the door, it comes out these two drain holes each end. Also the little catch tray up here, which I've taken out for the moment, that catches water, puts it through a pipe here, and then there's a tube comes down here. And in case of my door, it was just sitting on the bottom there, wasn't actually facing the hole. But on the E-Type forum I saw the idea of actually piping it out, or piping it direct to the opening, which to me seems to be a better idea. It's one less chance that you'll get a build-up of moisture inside the door, you know, inside here. The other, so that's what that pipe was. That pipe there will join to the pipe coming through there. But I also saw another pipe coming through this weep hole here. Now that was to pick up water from, I guess you call it the overflow, and the overflow out of this dish drain into this side area here. And I'll just turn this around. What this normally has, or on this door anyway, this little dish goes all the way down and puts water into a little slit, and it's a very small slit at the end, and then that drops down in here and goes through the weep hole. But I did see that, as I say in the E-Type forum, that someone put a drain in here. Now that's been closed up. Just put a plate over that and welded that on. And I've just brazed a copper pipe into there. Now I've got a little bit to clean up on that yet, but any overflow, and I'll make sure this is sealed a lot better than it was, but any overflow will come down here, go into that pipe, and ultimately when I put a tube in, into the pipe at the bottom. Now you can still get the hinge in. Doesn't interfere with the hinge where it's placed. I couldn't place the pipe up in this end because it would have interfered with the putting the hinge bolt in the corner. So I've kept it away from that. Anyway, I spent a fair bit of time working on that, but that's now finished. I'm not going to put the skin on yet. Originally I was, but what I've been looking at, seeing I've taken off the bulkhead panel on this side, and I've got repairs to do the body on that side, it would be better to line the door up, or the door skin in particular, with the curve of the vehicle once I've got those panels in place. So this I've already fitted up to the door opening. It fits, the opening's fine. It seems to be not twisted, but I've yet to put the skin on. Cleaned all the metal up. It's come up quite nice, and I've actually cut the sections out that need replacing. Now they're all around the mounting area, so I've fabricated new pieces. I haven't fitted them on yet. Just a little bit of fettling to do to fit them exactly where I need to weld them. So I've made a new piece for there. A new piece down in here, which I'll weld in. I've still got to address the edge of this. I've got to put a little bit of a repair section in here. So I'll do that before I weld this one in place. That repairs most of the pedal box. Now there's still a little bit more repair to do. There are some pinholes here, rust pinholes. I'll probably, when I take this front panel out, I'll probably replace a section in here. But I'll wait and see until I take this out as to what else I may have to do. It's a fair bit of rust in there, so that's all got to be repaired. Anyway, cleaned all the steel up. This is all cleaned up with vinegar, and killed it off with phosphoric. I'll put a bit of weld through primer on before I weld these on, but it's getting close to being repaired. I've now finished the top of the pedal box, welded the pieces in place. It's new on this side, new section in there, little repair in the corner here. That's all worked out well. So that's now solid. I'll now turn my attention to removing the old inner sill. I've removed the left-hand inner sill. The damage to the A-pillar, really it's not too bad. I'll have to do a little bit of repair on this flange here. These ones are all solid, that's solid. There is unfortunately rust in the corner here, so I'm probably going to have to replace a section in there. Apart from that, this is the main issue, which I've talked about before. The flange on this side is actually too short. I've got to extend that. So I might start on the A-pillar. It's got the least amount of work on it. So I'll continue with this end of the car. I mean, I've already done all of that. So I'll rebuild that. On the rear, not too bad along the back here. It Might have to repair a section in there. It's fairly badly rusted behind the behind this support here, which once again the welds on this weren't great. There's a few welds at the top. Really, the welds at the bottom hadn't penetrated. Same on this side, the welds on the bottom hadn't penetrated. A few welds on the top, so not a great weld job on that one. Probably a little bit of repair to the bottom of that. That's there. Flanges on this end aren't too bad. That's intact, this is intact. A little bit of repair on this side and around the guard. I've got to do that, so that's similar to the other side. This plate is quite deeply rusted there, so I might actually take this off so I can check the flange all the way under that. So that will come off. Oh, this is pretty solid. Just surface rust on there, so it's actually not too bad around the B pillar. Same rust as the other side in there. Obviously I've talked about that before, that's got to be repaired. So all in all, the B pillar is in pretty good condition, so that shouldn't be too hard to rectify. The A pillar, as I said, I'll start on that and I'll work on this area here to try and get that the right shape so it actually fits the bulkhead side panel a lot better. So I'll do that, and as I say, repair that in there. Well, sorry, this area here, this is rusted on the bottom, so in the bottom end here, so I'll put a new section on that as well. But I'll probably leave that until I've got the sill sitting in place so I can actually repair it so everything lines up. So anyway, it's not too bad on this side.